So these are the 4 key figures I have given, and when you enter you will get all the all the descriptions here. That means it is all accepted, and when you continue they are all given here. So here with this our modeling of InfoCube is completed. After modeling you have to check the InfoCube, and then when it is displayed that it is consistent, you have to activate it. So here you will see all the messages here for everything which is created in the process of activation of InfoCube, and at the end InfoCube is activated. So we can go back. Here our InfoCube is activated, and I mean up to now the InfoCube is activated there. So for the data store objects, there are 3 kinds of data store objects. Data store objects contains consolidated, cleaned up item level data, and very granular data will be stored in the data store objects. So generally they are basically flat structures which group characteristics and key figures in a table. So BW offers 3 kinds of data store objects. One is direct update DSO, write optimized DSO, standard DSO. Previously in 3.0 version there are only write optimized DSO and standard DSOs, and they too were called as transactional ODS, operational data source. ODS means. So when you create a data store object, let's see how to create a data store object. You have to right click on the info area and create a data store object. Here you can see in the settings tab you have a type of data store object. When you click this symbol, you have 3 types of data store objects available. You have to decide which one you want, either standard data store object, direct update data store object, or write optimized data store object. What is the difference? We are going to discuss it now. So the least one is direct update data store object. Here there are very fewer functionalities. It supports very few functionalities. So what is the difference is generally we don't have any staging functions in direct update DSOs. It means it doesn't it's not used for the data acquisition from the PSA. You cannot get the data from the PSA. What it is used for is to get the data from analytical process designer, APDs. So generally APDs are created to APDs can be executed to get the query data, and it can write the data to the direct update DSO. Direct update DSOs always overwrite. You cannot add up the data. So it will only be overwritten. Data will only be overwritten in the DDSOs, and you cannot use it as a source. It can only be the target. So in that case, what you will do is to get the data from queries from the APDs, for case we use direct update DSOs, it will have only one table. So generally it doesn't normally have more use in BW, and you cannot use them for reporting purposes. So write optimized DSO on the other hand have one table which is active data table. What are tables? I will explain you now. Before going to the write optimized, we will discuss the standard DSO. Standard DSO has three tables. Standard DSO consists of three tables. So standard DSO consists of three tables: one new data table, active data table, and change log table. In new data table, when the DSO is not activated, standard DSOs need activation before the data is available. Until you activate the standard DSOs, it is a separate process to activate the DSO. Until you activate the DSO, the data loaded to the DSO is not available for the reporting. So until then the data resides in new data table, and then after activation the data will be changed to transferred to active data table, and then the calculations will be noted in the change log table. For example, you have a record, say you have a sales key figure, and you have you have 50 for the sales key figure, and you have loaded it to the DSO. And in that case, standard DSO will the active data table will have 50 in there, and then you have the change log table will store 50 as well. And then what you have done is to load the delta. In that case, in delta you have 30, and you have loaded the sales object with the 30 key figure with the 30. And what we'll have is, for example, we have summation, and for the summation you will have, after the activation, you will have 80 as the result. You will only have one record. Here you will have three records, 30 and 80. Here these three records will be created in change log table. So in change log table, basically there are changes, and there are record mode as well. Record mode we will discuss later. So in change log table, basically there are changes noted, and in active data table, basically the activated data will be there in active data table. So that is the purpose of three tables. And basically in a, so this is the standard. So basically in a DSO there are key fields and data fields and navigation attributes. You don't see key figures folder here, because all the key figures will be given to the data fields, all the characteristics and key figures as well given to the data fields. And the key fields, other than key fields, Key fields are used to store primary keys. For example, the primary identifiers, for example the customer ID. If we are loading here, we have to give it the customer ID here. I don't remember that. We have to give the customer ID in key fields, and then uh, whichever are not unique, we can give everything else in the data fields. One is mandatory, and 16 we can load up to 16 characteristics in a key fields. So let's see what else to give here. Let's give some here. For example, we want some material number. Here you can right click on the data fields and do direct input. I'm giving additional fields here in the data fields. This is the character, material number, and there is a, and I'm giving some key figures as well.